Welcome to the HoldoPod podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Mike. We're two hardworking dads trying to immerse ourselves into Star Wars and fit it into our busy lives.
If this is your first time listening in this short form Star Wars podcast, we'll share our thoughts on different topics from a galaxy far, far away. Hey Mike, what do you call Kenobi triplets?
I have no idea what you call Kenobi triplets, Mark.
OB3s.
Yikes. Hope they have a good OB-GYN.
All right, everyone. So welcome to this episode 11 of the Holdo Maneuver. As you may have noticed, some housekeeping. We got a brand new co-host with Michael Sawran. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to do this. Happy to be here. Which camera do I look at, guys?
Well, this episode's on audio only.
I hear the wrap-up music, so let's just get going.
All right. And our returning guest, Mr. Canadian Justin, as I affectionately call him.
Hola, how's it going, everybody? It's good to be back from Hoth here, and yeah.
Mr. Canadian opens up with "Hola."
Yeah, man.
He's from the Spanish part of Canada.
Are you not familiar with Tex-Mex and Hoth and that? Like, come on.
No,
Yeah, you've heard of Quebec. He's from Quebexico. All right. That's enough.
Onward.
Yeah, that's enough of that. So starting this week with our news, the first bit of news is going to be about the follow-up to the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And that's what Sylvie, my dog, thinks of that. She's snorting all around. But the new title has reportedly been revealed for that. It's going to be called Star Wars Jedi Survivor, or at least that's what the rumor title is. Now, do you think Jeff Probst is going to be in this video game?
He doesn't need any more money.
I'm hoping they bring in Rupert from the All-Star seasons in there, the one that looks like Hagrid.
Yeah,
he could play a Wookiee.
Yeah, he probably is, but hopefully Anakin doesn't get voted off the island first. But I think Mace is gunning for him. So, but yeah,
Jar Jar's gonna win. We know it.
Obviously.
I don't know. I bet I'm putting a lot of money on Sheev.
Oh yeah, but he did find that hidden immunity idol. So
yeah.
Actually, all these jokes aside, I think now I really want to see a
Star Wars
themed version of Survivor.
Isn't that what Star Wars is about? Just survivors,
more or less.
I can see it being an SNL sketch now.
Yeah, yeah. Now I have yet to beat this first game. Yeah, I know. Now, have you played this game, Justin or Mike?
I've played it. Rather. I've played it. I've not beaten it. I was actually just looking at wanting to pick it up again. So,
yeah, I need to get back into it. How about you, Mike? Have you played it at all?
I have not. I'm behind on games. Unfortunately, with me, the better the graphics get, the more sick I get playing games because of terrible motion sickness that I suffer from. So,
oh man. The only thing I suggest, although I don't know if that would help even with that in that case then, but a lot of times people will put on YouTube, they'll edit together like all of the cutscenes from the game into like a quote unquote movie.
Right.
So you can watch it like just for the story, but
that'd be fine. It's the physical playing that.
Oh yeah, like the camera movement and whatnot.
Oh yeah, it's like watching a constant Michael Bay movie.
Well, there you go. Well, then that's the way I suggest you check out Jedi Fallen Order, because the actor who's in that, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was the not Joker in Gotham. He's been on that show Shameless. But he plays the character Cal Kestis.
In his original casting for Pennywise, and it changed that.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah.
Oh man, what's it? I'm gonna feel bad if I don't figure out what his name is. Do either of you know what his name is off the top of your head?
I can just picture him in that Jason Sudeikis movie where they went to like Mexico to smuggle in drugs, and that's it.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Will Porter, right?
Oh no, no, that's a different guy.
That's a
Cameron
different
Monaghan.
guy?
Yeah, Cameron Monaghan.
Oh, I got you there. Okay, I'm taking credit.
But yeah, Will Poulter's playing
Porter. Okay.
Adam in the next Guardians movie. He's in Marvel, not DC. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that because what I've played of that first game, I've really enjoyed so far. I like the story of it, but I'm looking forward to that. So we'll move on from that story, and then I will let Mike introduce the next one.
Well, Vanity Fair has a whole mess load of information in a recent article that came out. The main topic is the rebellion will be televised. Essentially breaking down to they released a list of every Star Wars project currently in development.
And what are you guys most excited of like some of the news that we heard from these shows and like stuff that's in the process right now?
Well, first show I am most importantly like excited for is still Obi-Wan. I think
I concur.
It's where I'm at, and then probably Ahsoka or Mando season 3.
Nice. Yeah,
I can go with Mando season 3 for being excited about. It's more interesting to see what they're gonna do to exile Cara Dune. That's where a peak interest of mine is. Andor looks interesting to me because I love Rogue One, and I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool too. We finally heard like a little bit more on that too with so you have like returning cast members include Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma, who's going to get like more of a story in this, which is pretty cool. And her story is going to parallel that of Cassian's. Then Stellan Skarsgård from Dune. We got Adria Arjona from the most amazing movie of all time, Morbius. I'm of course, being sarcastic. Fiona Shaw and Denise Go, and also a co-star member of the show, a huge orchestral Dickinson ensemble cast. Again, Gilroy's words. So Tony Gilroy is going to be basically the showrunner for this. He came on kind of notoriously to Rogue One to kind of take over for Gareth Edwards. So it's interesting that he's more or less the showrunner for this show now. And this show's they've already said, I guess, that it's going to be at least 2 seasons because they're talking about this. And when it comes out in the late summer, like they said, is that they're talking about it as a first season. So probably just kind of be like Cassian's like first kind of like introduction to like the different planets that are going to be in that, and the introduction to getting more or less inducted into the
going back to the triplets, are you?
Yeah, into the Rebel Alliance there. So I'm excited about this. And the kind of cool thing about that Vanity Fair cover too is, so you got Ewan McGregor on there, but then the other 3 people on the cover are of Latin descent, and I think that's pretty cool, showing like the diversity that's really starting to take effect in the Star Wars universe, and between like Rosario Dawson and with Pedro Pascal, and then we got what is the actor who plays Cassian's name?
Diego Luna.
Diego Luna. Okay, yeah. So between all of them, I think it's pretty awesome that we're getting like all of this coverage with them. And then like Justin was saying, I'm really excited for Ahsoka. I've liked that character from the Clone Wars on what we've seen of her on The Mandalorian so far. And they said that show is going to be coming out in the early 2023. So they didn't give like any kind of date outside of that. But
go ahead. I'm just with Ahsoka. I'm hoping for some stuff that were like from Shadows of the Empire kind of days with Thrawn and characters from that kind of old canon to see come through. Hopefully that's where I'm really hoping we see some of that stuff.
And like with that show, we already know that Sabine Wren from Rebels is going to be in the series. We know Hayden Christensen is going to be in the show as well. So I'm wondering, we'll kind of get into this later when we talk about like some of our expectations and predictions for Obi-Wan, but I'm thinking that there might be, like I'm assuming or hoping for in Obi-Wan, that there might be some Clone Wars flashbacks in this series to like seeing Ahsoka and Anakin kind of like in their heyday together, fighting in the Clone Wars. So it'd be kind of interesting to see if they do any of that. And I don't remember if it was a conversation I had with either of you, but or someone else told me what they thought it'd be a cool idea if they de-aged Ahsoka in those flashbacks and had Ashley Eckstein do the voice of Ahsoka in the flashbacks to kind of meld these two versions of the animated version of Ahsoka and now this live action of Ahsoka in the Ahsoka series. And it would be kind of like a nice way to like pay tribute to Ashley Eckstein's work as the character as well.
I'd be 100% down for that.
Definitely.
They'll either do that or give her some other role in it to be part of it, I'd imagine.
Yeah, kind of like they did with Matt Lanter in The Mandalorian, with him doing Anakin in the Clone Wars, and then he kind of just played like a random rebel.
I didn't say it'd be a meaty part.
Yeah, like he's like a rebel like guard in that prison. But going from there, the next bit is also tied to this, and it is about the Star Wars prequel series, The Acolyte, and they revealed a few key details from that, and I'm gonna let Justin take it away with some of this.
Yeah, it's gonna shape up to be something interesting, since it's our first time in like visual media that's not a game or book or graphic novel going into the High Republic era, and that's where we're going to be taking place with this. And so we're going to see like the emergence of dark-sided powers and the Sith coming to its power during that time, and it seems like it should be quite something. I'm down for this, just because it's just not something we've seen a whole lot of back in like anything else. Where that's like the closest I think we got was probably what Darth Maul's kind of effect in Phantom Menace.
Yeah. And I like some of the like what they're talking about for the show, where they're saying the like political and personal and spiritual things that come up in a time period that we don't know much about, and like talking about like how the Jedi are in like these like white and gold robes basically, because they more or less don't ever get in any skirmishes, so like they're basically wearing something that really has no like form function other than to like look nice,
a knight in shining armor, if you will.
Yeah. And the other like thing and they're talking about like how do we get to a point, the place that we are in the beginning of the Phantom Menace, where basically like the Sith are starting to are having like a resurgence, and like they're already like around a little bit because there's already the rule of two during this time. But how is Palpatine able to kind of do what he does up to that point without the Jedi noticing anything over that course of time? And then he obviously isn't alive yet in this point, unless he's like,
hope not.
Yeah, because he's in his 40s, or he's supposed to be in his 40s in Phantom Menace, but maybe Darth Plagueis might be in this, possibly his master. That could be interesting to see if he was in there. Yoda would be like 100 years younger. So maybe Yoda will show up, possibly, maybe. I think those would maybe be like the only two like connections of like established characters that
I'm pretty sure we could get Yaddle in there too.
Yeah, maybe we'll see how Grogu came to be.
Yeah.
Yoda and Yaddle, you gotta be doing what they gotta be doing.
The yada yada yada.
The yada yada yada. The Yoda did the yada yada yada. But no, I would like to see a more Sith-based Star Wars show movie. They're always like, I like the bad guy movie, like the backstory, how they became evil and took over. That's just right up my alley. So that's what excites me.
Yeah.
I think with this, the only thing I would really hope for is some kind of cameo, some kind of role for Wentworth Miller. And what's his name? Guy that also plays that played the apprentice in Force Unleashed.
Oh, Sam Witwer.
Yeah, Sam Witwer.
Yeah, that could be cool. Like he's already. Although I still hope against hope that they'll eventually make Starkiller canon to the story again someday.
I'm good with him also just taking over playing Darth Maul. Period.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we don't need Ray Park doing that stunts anymore. We can just have Sam Witwer.
Yeah, and if we do get Sam Witwer, I think we have this Lando show that's still in development. It doesn't have a premiere date yet, but kind of like where Solo ends with talking a bit about Crimson Dawn with that, there's room there where you could have Sam Witwer playing Maul in live action with that show. I think if anything, they might give us more news about this Lando show at Star Wars Celebration and during Memorial Day weekend when we're probably gonna have a ton of news. Like this is probably like just like the tip of the iceberg of like Star Wars news. Like here's just like a little tasty morsel of some of the stuff, and then in a couple of weeks time at Celebration will be like, oh, here's the rest of that iceberg.
Well, yeah, you got to build it up. You got to sell the tickets.
If not in October, when like that Disney or like whenever.
Oh yeah, the shareholders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shareholder meeting is going to drop a ton of stuff like it did last year.
Yeah. And then like the last kind of one of the new shows that's going to be coming out is John Watts. So we recently heard that he had left the Fantastic Four film after doing the 3 Spider-Man films.
Well, we know why. They killed someone.
Yeah. And that one was probably someone that was like a Jedi or something, because he's going to be doing a 1980s coming of age adventure set in space. So if you kind of blend the Goonies and Stranger Things with Star Wars, that's kind of what it seems like. This
gold. It's going to be gold, in my opinion.
Gold, Jerry, gold. And it looks like it's going to be set in the post Return of the Jedi Star Wars timeline. So just like Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, so there's a chance that it may intersect with them, but I think it's going to be much, much closer to like right after Return of the Jedi ends. Like in that immediate aftermath of the Empire being taken down. And this show, it's going under the production title of Grammar Roadie, which is a reference to The Simpsons, where Bart and his friends steal a car and run away for a whole week. So considering how the series is reportedly looking for 4 children around 11 to 12 years old to join the cast, upcoming show could follow a group of lovable renegades involved with mischief across the galaxy.
I, for one, again, love the bad guy side of things, but I also feel Star Wars needs more comedy in it.
Yeah.
Can I just say, Jedi School of Rock.
Jedi School of Rock.
Yeah, and Luke is Jack Black.
Yeah. I think when I first talked to Mark about my Star Wars needing comedy thing, I think I pitched it as National Lampoon's
Senior Trip.
No, not Senior Trip. Animal House type. That's what we need.
There you go.
The Jedi Temple, all the hormonal Jedi underlings causing mischief.
Give me
National Lampoon's Jabba's house.
Jabba's house.
Give me a 12-year-old Kylo Ren or Ben Solo with a bunch of other misfit teens and on an adventure, and so we can grow to love them just to hate them.
There we go.
Yeah, it would kind of be messed up, where it'd be Ben Solo and the Knights of Ren are these kids in this show.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, but those are all those people those kids killed all those people later. you're like, oh, I love these characters, and then you find out at the end who, like, because they never say their name the entire show. And like, oh, hey, Ben, we should call ourselves the Knights of Ren. And then
that could be the last episode.
Yeah, and then Ben just looks at the camera and winks.
Yep.
And then it goes
80s,
Star Wars.
80s drip right there. I'd be dripping 80s.
Yeah.
I'm down for
so yeah, so that was like all kind of like the news we had this week coming from Vanity Fair amongst other places. So kind of to segue into our main topic, here's everything you should watch, read, and play before Obi-Wan Kenobi. So if you haven't obviously already watched it, you're going to need to watch the Clone Wars. My son I've noticed, been rewatching the Clone Wars. So
confession time, I'll have to watch it for the first time.
Oh man, it's so good.
If
you're watching it for the first time too, look up the chronological order. Because those, like, the first 2 or 3 seasons, some of the, like, they're not actually like in timeline order, they're just kind of like all over the place. But like StarWars.com, they have a link there where you can find all of them and how they relate. Once you get to like season 3 or 4, everything kind of just takes place back to, like, you know,
the Netflix
after
seasons.
Yeah, it's great though. There's stuff in there with like the Mortis trilogy, which is like the story with Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka on this planet that's like super force sensitive, and you kind of get like this whole kind of like this premonitions and flash forwards of like what could be in store for Anakin. Liam Neeson came back for the episode and actually like voiced Qui-Gon in that. So there's all this great stuff in that show. And then like that last season that they came back for on Disney Plus was really great as well. And it, because that times up to match with like the beginning of episode 3 and kind of segues straight up to Order 66, but you see it from like these different points of view than you saw that, like, that beginning part of the movie from. So I would definitely say check that out. It's the first few seasons, like with a lot of like the Dave Filoni shows, which I actually like, is it's like the slow progression into meatier and darker storytelling, because it kind of like feeds you in slowly, but then gets you attached from that, and then by the time it's like second, third, fourth season, you're really attached to all these characters. And I would definitely highly suggest watching that definitely before Ahsoka comes out, because that's where she was introduced.
I need her backstory.
Yeah.
Now, I think my issue why I didn't watch it was when it was released, it was like you had to watch this to watch the next prequel, and I just was an ignorant teen. Was like, I ain't doing that. That was stupid.
Well, now it's all on Disney Plus, so it's all there for you to watch.
There we go.
Now, this next one, I've probably missed out most of these. Justin, you're probably going to be the expert out of the three of us here, are the Star Wars comics and books with Obi-Wan. And I know that they did they started to release a few issues of the Obi-Wan. I think it's a 5-issue story that they're doing that kind of goes through like his life from like Padawan to up to the Death Star.
I just finished issue 1 of it, and it takes place with like old Obi-Wan prior to him training or finding Luke or getting Luke. He's writing out a journal basically, and it's going through his memories. And it's the first one is his night at the temple when a friend of his succumbed to the dark side by giving into fear and leaving the order because they needed to go and save their dad. And it was really interesting because it shows that like where Anakin comes from too, because this isn't going to be the first time you see Jedis giving into that. I really liked it. The art was a little weird for me though, because you go from like the Alec Guinness realistic art, and then it goes into more comic-y for the flashback.
Interesting.
But
Yeah, I think I'll pick this up maybe like when they do like a trade paperback
yeah,
for it, which will probably won't be until like maybe like this fall when it comes out. I know that wasn't it like a black chrysanthemum in these, or was he? Oh no, that was in the like the new Marvel series that Jason Aaron did.
yeah.
That like the journal that Luke Skywalker found.
That, and those were like one-off issues typically of what was going on for Obi-Wan during those. So like if he needed to like just write an issue that bridged between different arcs that he was wanting to do, we would have like the Obi-Wan journals come in. And like there's some really cool ones where he like stopped not smugglers, but like Jabba's men from harassing Owen for kickbacks and stuff like that. And like basically because of Obi-Wan watching over them, Owen is the only not mob influenced moisture farmer. And you get Chrysanthemum, you get a bunch of different characters. But if you want more of them, I also recommend the Dr. Aphra story. Okay. Or Dr. Aphra books. Those were really good. And they spin off of, I believe, Charles Soule's Vader, which is pre-Strikes Back, but post-New Hope.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then, so going from the comic books and back into the series, so like we were talking about this a little earlier, the Fallen Order game had some of the Inquisitors in that. Some of them that were in there were also in the show Star Wars Rebels with the Grand Inquisitor, who in that show was voiced by Jason Isaacs, who everyone may remember as Lucius Malfoy from the Harry Potter series. In Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's going to be Rupert Friend who's playing the live action role. But it should be. And have you watched Rebels, Mike?
Not yet.
All right, that's another great one too. So we'll have to go back and do like some episodes where we just talk about Rebels and Clone Wars, because that might be interesting to have like conversation about as like a first time viewer of like stuff you're noticing after like now these characters have been segued and introduced into like different mediums as well. But this I'll link all the stuff in our show notes too, so it'll be easier for people to find some of this stuff too. But segueing from that, we're gonna get into our main topic. Go ahead.
Just one thing too with the Inquisitors, the current Vader comic that's being published has a lot to do with the Inquisitors in it too, and how Vader is in control of them, and when Palpatine gives him to them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm definitely want to check that out. There's so much that they put out. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with it all.
Between them and Marvel, it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's like they're owned by the same company. That's a juggernaut. Controlling media.
So a couple of weeks ago, we got our what I assume is our last trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and in that we watched it on like the last episode and kind of gave like our like initial thoughts of it. But I'm interested to kind of hear what you guys have to say about that most recent trailer, and if there's like anything that you noticed in it that kind of stood out to you as far as to like stuff. And this will kind of lead into our conversation about we can kind of like build off of like what we saw in that trailer, and like from what we saw in that to what we hope to see in the show, and maybe like what we think we'll see in the show based off of what was in this trailer. Now I'll let Mike go first with his thoughts.
I mean, just the concept of Obi-Wan has me excited. It is interesting how in the trailers he mentions how he lost when his side kind of won in the prequels. It's just he didn't realize him winning was a bad thing. But Owen Savage with his comeback there, he's kind of looks like he's going to be either a hard rock to come over or a real protector of Luke in the end, which we kind of got from A New Hope. But no, it's just general excitement over the series from the trailer. I'm not one to nitpick and search for clues in the trailers. I kind of let them be what they are to tell me the overall scope and then to draw me in.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they show Vader being put together in the trailer again, because isn't that where Revenge of the Sith left off?
Yeah, so with that, I'm wondering if that's just like after, because like we saw in like Empire Strikes Back and a little bit in Rogue One, like where he's like in his meditation chamber.
Getting repairs and stuff.
Yeah, like where he's like takes the suit off every once in a while, just kind of, I guess, let his like skin breathe more or less. So, and they have, if it's not just flashbacks, they're gonna have to have like certain ways to show Hayden outside of just flashbacks, because otherwise it's kind of interesting that they'd only have him come back just to put the suit on, because we haven't even heard if James Earl Jones is back as well to do the voice of Vader.
While that'd be good that he does come back, with the way tech is now, they can easily make Hayden sound like James Earl Jones.
Yeah, especially with like what they did with Luke's voice for Mandalorian, making Mark Hamill sound like 1980s Mark Hamill.
I want Vader to be a stiff fighter, not flipping around, spinning, doing all these twirls. I want him to be a powerhouse lightsaber gladiator. That's one expectation I hope they fulfill.
Yeah.
He's just this wrecking ball that doesn't need any frill or fancy maneuvers. He just kicks ass in his hunt.
With that, I want to see though Vader take damage. I
can agree with that. Yeah.
I want to see robot limbs on him, being like shown from the material of the suit being torn. I want to see his helmet cracked, so we get like Hayden's face there somehow. You know, like that's what I really want to see come into it, because it's something that they've done in the comics recently, and it's just, I think, really visually shows how much of a brute force
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah, and slight spoiler, there is a shot like that in Rebels where you see a cracked version of Vader's helmet and you see Anakin's face beneath the helmet. I'm not going to say what the context is or like when that happens, but there's a shot of that in the show at one point. And speaking of stuff that we've seen, I don't know, that's a weird segue, but anyways, we saw Kumail for the first time in this new trailer. And the only reason I say the first time question mark is like, well, we see his face, but Mike sent me this other trailer where someone edited together the first teaser and this longer more story driven trailer, and there's a shot in that had Reva or Reva. They can go both ways in Star Wars, like Han and Han. But
depends on where you're from.
Yeah, or if you're Lando, or if you're Leia, or Leia. But when Reva has her saber out, and you see like this person like roll into like in front of her. In that version of the trailer that someone cut together, it's like right after that shot of Kumail that we saw in this new trailer, and it, to me, I think that's also Kumail. So I think Reva is going to be after Kumail's character, which he may or may not be a Jedi that's on the run, and that's maybe what he comes to Tatooine, and maybe that's who like Obi-Wan is speaking to when he's like, it's over, we lost. and like maybe that's who he's talking to. Although there's
could be
other
the
theories. Yeah, there's other theories that he's talking, because there's that shot that came out from the Entertainment Weekly like a month or so ago where like he's in that cave and it's kind of like all kind of like lit in blue light. So some people think that he might be talking to the Force Ghost of Qui-Gon and there, so maybe he's having like that conversation with Qui-Gon there. So that could be interesting too. But like you were saying with Uncle Owen, with Obi-Wan, is like when the time comes, he must be trained, and Owen's just like he trained his father.
Yeah, it's also interesting to me in just the Star Wars lexicon how Luke is always the one to like save it. I don't know, maybe they've explained it or maybe I missed it, but they never seem to like show him going towards Leia to be like, she can save us. She's the stronger Jedi. So just maybe in the comics and other things that happens, but it's just interesting to me. It's also interesting that they can't find these guys because in all the movies, they're like, I sense someone's there. They can't sense these other Jedi that they're trying to hunt.
I've always just gone with for like the Leia Luke thing is because of her being hidden in plain sight under Bail Organa.
Right. She's a princess and has more all that fun stuff, and whereas Luke's a moisture farmer.
Yeah. And
I understand that aspect.
And he's going by the Skywalker name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is another thing. Like
with like at a place that Anakin has been to with people that Anakin's met. But also we have to remember too that Anakin thinks that Padme died, so he wouldn't even know to be like looking for his kids basically.
And so to the greater galaxy, Anakin is dead.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be another thing that I kind of want to see in this too, and I think that we might see is like with that kind of like own that the inner struggle himself with basically the remnants of Anakin that are still within Vader, and him like basically suppressing Anakin is basically a bad memory, because the more that he would think about Anakin, it would be any memories or anything that was related to Anakin that would then, I mean, that might make him more powerful.
We can see him have a Kylo Ren tantrum where he destroys a comm board because he doesn't like what.
And then we see like, oh, okay, like grandfather, like grandson.
Yeah.
But there's, and now like with the like some of like the new places that we're gonna see in this, like Dayu, which kind of looks like a Hong Kong-ish planet, like influence like that looks pretty cool. Now, is there like any characters or like settings that you specifically want to see in this that may have been like teased in like the trailers, or maybe not even teased yet, but you saw them in like other shows in the past and you'd like to see them in here?
Not teased, but I would like to hear Liam Neeson and Frank Oz. I'd like to.
Yeah, I would like to see Liam Neeson too.
Yeah, I feel they got to do something with Liam Neeson. I want to see how Vader chooses his volcano lair that you see in Rogue One.
Oh yeah, with like basically it's basically like his man cave on Mustafar. So it should be interesting to see like what he does, like if they do any more with Vader's castle there. And I'm like, I also don't want to build my expectations up too much too, because I feel like a lot of stuff nowadays, like with like general discourse online, usually with people that are upset like about like whatever movie it is that they saw or whatever TV show it is, that they're disappointed by the finale or like the writing or whatever is, they build up their own version of this story so much in their heads to the point where their expectations need to become reality. Otherwise, they're not going to enjoy what they're watching.
Well, it's the same argument when people make saying the book's better than the movie. Like,
they're two different mediums.
They're two different mediums. You're seeing one person's take on the book, what they wanted to see. So it's not a fair comparison.
That's what I say to everybody too, is that film and TV is subjective. So it's not objective. It's you're allowed to like what you like, and someone can like what they like, but you don't have to like come down on somebody else for not liking something. Or if you don't like a movie or TV show, like you don't need to fill the ether of the internet with like you're allowed to share your opinion, but like you can do it like in a constructive way. Like Jermaine Clement and Brett McKenzie once said, be more constructive with your feedback. Why exactly? So just do that. Now, do you guys have like any like final thoughts on stuff that we saw in this most recent trailer? And I
want to see the last thing. I want to see Luke try to get into pod racing and have someone stop him.
Kind of looks like he's doing that in the trailer.
That's in the trailer. It looks like he's trying to be a pod racer, because that's the only downfall with how Star Wars came out is in the 70s, like Lucas didn't know where, like he had an idea probably where he wanted things to go, where things existed from. But with the addition of so much other stuff over time, it's just makes you like, you want to see everyone in the 70s, the original trilogy, do the stuff that the kids were doing when it came before them in the prequels. But it's 6 episodes, which is a downer in my opinion. I feel like you could fill 30 episodes with this subject matter.
All right. I'm sure it'll be spread out to other series though too.
Yeah.
My biggest thought is that everything we've seen so far is probably only in the first 3 episodes.
Oh yeah. There's gonna be a lot of surprises.
And another thing to keep in mind with that too is that because they're showing the first 2 episodes on May 27th, and then the 3rd episode June 1st. By June 1st, we'll already have seen half of the season. So within like less than like a week of the show premiering, I already have seen half of that story. So, but yeah, like you've all said, and like what Kai kind of said earlier is, I don't want to build my expectations up too much, but like my son, I liked Alec Guinness when I first saw Star Wars back when I was younger, but it was Ewan's portrayal of Obi-Wan over the course of the prequel trilogy and what he's done with him that made me kind of like fall in love with this character and become so attached to him and Anakin, and then more so like with what we've seen like through the Clone Wars and whatnot. But I'm just excited to see more of Obi-Wan's story, and I'll be curious to see kind of where they leave it off to kind of like dovetail into him becoming Alec Guinness. I think I shared this with both of you earlier today. I looked it up and tried to figure it out. Was that Alec Guinness was 63 when he did the first Star Wars film. Ewan McGregor is around 50 right now, and this is set about 10 years before the events of A New Hope. So effectively, age-wise, it kind of lines up nicely. So that desert sand, it's a hell of a thing.
That'll get you.
Yeah. So that's gonna wrap it up for this week for us, guys. Know that you can leave us a review on the podcast catcher of your choice if it allows you to do so. Spotify lets you do that. Apple Podcasts lets you do that. I'm not sure of any others that allow you to do so. But you can find the show on social media at HoldoPod pretty much everywhere, as Twitter, Instagram, Hold Maneuver on Facebook. Look for Hold Maneuver Podcast on YouTube. All these links are in the show notes as well. You can follow us individually on social media as well. I'm on Instagram and Twitter at my first and last name, just Marc with a C, MARC, Vibbert, Vibbert. Mike?
I'm over on Instagram and Twitter under my name, Michael Sawran _ my last name will throw you for a loop. So it's Sawran. That's not spelled how it sounds. But yeah, that's what I'm at.
He's not the villain from Lord of the Rings.
I might be. You never know.
Maybe.
Time will tell.
Christopher Lee was Count Dooku in Star Wars, not so. Anyways, and Justin, where can people find you just on this podcast?
Just on this podcast every now and then, and I mean, you could probably find me sometimes on Twitter under Midnight Barbecue.
There you go. And
in the Mexican part of Canada.
Yeah,
in Quebexico.
In Quebec.
And then you guys can also email us at holdopod@gmail.com if you want to email us anything that you'd like to see in Obi-Wan, just general thoughts on our show or anything you wow. Here's a constructive criticism. Speak better. But anyways, as always, we are grateful to George Lucas for creating the Star Wars universe.
Thanks to the maker.
And thank you again for joining us, Justin.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
That voice. Oh. James Earl Jones.
Eric actually liked this. That kid's on dope. Whoa.